what better way to celebrate the low light champion lens than with a beautiful, well-lit gas station in the middle of the night. Coming to you live from Montreal. Today we're going to talk about the brand new Thypoch 21mm f1.4 Simera for the Leica M mount. So thank you Thypoch for supplying the lens, and thank you guys for watching. Today is going to be pretty damn exciting because I've had this lens for the past few weeks and I've had it glued to my cameras. It is actually one of the most fun lenses I've used in recent memory. It's completely changed the way that I experience my wide-angle lenses, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But firstly, let's just talk about the lens on the outside. It is kind of what you've come to expect from Thypoch. You've got, your dots that propagate your depth of field scale, which is really handy, especially on a 21mm lens. I've actually used it more than I've ever used it on any of the other Thypoch lenses. So very, very clutch. You've got your declickable aperture. You've got 14 blades in this thing. Craziness. You've got no focusing tab. This is the first one without any of those, so pretty cool if you want to put this on, a gimbal with a focusing motor. You could probably get away with it because there's no tab. But mind you, I was missing the tab, but whatever. I kind of forgot about it now. What else is there? There's a 62mm filter thread on this one, which is bigger than the rest. They're 49mm, so I haven't actually used a filter on this lens, and thankfully, the hood on it is really freaking cool. I've had it on since day one, and I kind of don't see a need to take off the hood because it looks so badass. Yeah, all in all, it's like just a slightly larger Thypoch lens, and it looks pretty damn slick on my M10R, I won't lie to you. And I have my nice 21mm finder, which if you're gonna use this on an M mount camera and you wanna really get the most out of it, I would recommend just getting a 21mm finder. I hope Thypoch starts making these because that would be pretty cool, because these are relatively expensive, and I feel like, the more competition, the merrier for this kind of stuff. But anywho, all in all, nice new redesigned Thypoch lens with a lot of what we've come to know and some new stuff like the hood and the lack of the tab and the bigger filter thread. Full floating lens group, spherical elements, the whole kit and caboodle. It's not that heavy given its size. It's been pretty damn cool though, because I kind of pride myself in having a tiny 21mm lens. When I was first shopping for a 21mm, I was really trying to get something that was pocketable to kind of match the Leica body aesthetic. But now that I've had this one, it's really been stuck to my camera. It's been a lot of fun. So pretty damn cool so far. Sharp as hell, honestly. I managed to take a lot of pictures with it. I go out at night with it, take pictures with my friends, and honestly, it's been freaking cool. You can isolate your subjects like you've never expected. You can get right up in their faces with this 0.23 meter minimum focusing distance, which is actually stupid close. It's right about this far away rather than 0.7 meters or 0.5. The framing opportunities that presents are actually crazy, crazy cool. You can get these cinematic looks where you can put your subject right up in the front of the frame and your background just completely in the back, blur it out too. Like typically how I would compose with the 21mm lens is I would always have in mind that my background was going to be slightly in focus, so therefore I would compose as such. Now that I could blur it out, it's completely transformed the way I use this lens. You can get these really cool dramatic effects. You can use your foreground to make the images pop more. It's just a real fun experience, and I've been using this lens pretty much every single day since I got it because I can't put it down. It's really fun. And at night, so this is where I'm gonna dub this lens the low light king for photography. 21mm already, you can get away with shooting 1/124th of a second. The rule of thumb is to shoot 1 over your focal length. Well, at 1.4, not only are you shooting at a slow shutter speed, but you're lowering your ISO. So you can get away with some crazy pictures. So I've been taking pictures at night and having zero worries at all about bringing my ISO too high. I'm usually hovering at around ISO 800, 1600, and then 3200 if it's really dark. It's refreshing. So if you're grain phobic or you're shooting on an older camera or on film, this is crazy cool because now suddenly you can use an ISO of 200 at night. All you need is a little bit of ambient light to isolate your subject, and suddenly you have a lens you can just carry on all the time, and that's what I've been doing. I've been leaving the ISO, look, right now, it's nighttime and I'm at ISO 800, and that's bright. So, really fun experience. Optically, it's beautiful. It reminds me so much of a Leica lens. I know I'm beating a dead horse when I say that, but really, Thypoch knows what they're doing here. You could tell they're passionate about optics. You can tell they know what they're doing. This lens, the colors are great. It's got a warmer hue to it, which is super pleasing to the eye. The bokeh is creamy, creamy, creamy. The fall off is actually beautiful as well. Your subjects are sharp and in focus when you get their focus right, and then the background just dissipates into this creamy mushiness. The bokeh stays very pleasant, surprisingly, and there's so much of it because you have such a wide focal length. You can take a full body portrait of somebody and have the background completely blur out. It's very, very different. It feels like I'm shooting on a larger format sensor. It's really, really fun, and that's why I haven't put this lens down. And now as for sharpness at infinity, that one was one that I was a little bit more surprised. You know, up close with the floating lens group, my subjects have always been in focus and sharp, but when it came down to focusing at infinity, on my SL2S, I noticed that it could focus slightly past infinity, and then on the M10R, I noticed that it focuses slightly past as well, where the edges of the frame start getting more in focus. And I thought I was doing something wrong, so I checked and checked and checked, and no, that was really what was happening. But as I stopped the lens down, this field curvature that it was exhibiting definitely vanished, and everything was tack sharp at 5.6 f8. So you can use this as a landscape lens, but I wouldn't go out using it at 1.4. At night, you could definitely get away with it. There's going to be, you have to be mindful of the fact that you're going to get a little bit of smeared corners and, of course, soft edges and astigmatism on your bright spots. But really, in daily use, I've never run into circumstances where that has jumped out at me. I'm looking at my pictures on a 27-inch screen, and none of those shortcomings, none of the softer corners have really ever taken away from any landscape pictures. Up close, that never is an issue. I place my subject anywhere in the frame and they're good. And another thing to be mindful of is I've been shooting 21 millimeters for a while, right? But my lenses are slower. My daily carry 21 millimeter 3.5 that I take with me everywhere is a 3.5 aperture. So I usually don't really take it out at night, and that's where this has come in handy. But also when I compose and focus, I use my rangefinder, I get my subject in frame, focus, and then I move my camera around as if it was on, like a ball head. But I've noticed when I do that with this shallow depth of field, they tend to fall out of focus. So I actually started making a habit of keeping the camera on the same axis when I recompose. It's really funny. It took a little bit of learning to get around that, but now that I've done it, it's become second nature. All in all, this camera just really feels like my own, really. It really has been such a cool experience that has rejuvenated the excitement for photography for me in a way that I haven't had in many years. I'm very excited about this lens. I hope you could tell because it's very different. I'm getting compositions, I'm getting shots that I can't normally get. Coupled with the fact that I can get so close with this lens, it's opened up a world of opportunities of framing and composition that I haven't had with other Leica lenses, specifically, of course, 21 millimeter lenses. Now, when I compare it to other focal lengths, 28 millimeters, for instance, or 24, like a 24-70, 24 is not really as wide as I would like it to be. 21 has always been really perfect for me for the wide angle experience. 15 feels too wide. People's heads start getting eggy and stuff like that in the corners, whereas 21 stays relatively flat, and it's a great focal length to get everything you want in and still remain creative with it, right? The 21 1.4 experience is just a complete different ballgame because as soon as you start getting closer to your subject, bang, now you're framing as you would with a fast portrait lens, but you have the ability to make your subject larger and your background smaller, so you can create a complete different narrative with it. And that's where I've really kind of fallen in love with this storytelling ability of a 21 1.4. It's very, very different from a slower aperture lens that I thought it would have been reminiscent of. I thought it was going to be a walk in the park, but no, it's been actually very refreshing and very, like I said, rejuvenating. I think when it comes to low light photography or as a daily carry, this is such an easy choice for me. I take it with me everywhere. In daylight, I'm usually maxing out my shutter speed. On the SL2S, I can go really fast, but usually around 1/8,000th of a second at 1.4 at ISO 100 is what I'm able to hash out. I should get an ND filter or at least a CPL for this thing, but at low light, I can shoot at 1/124th of a second at ISO 800, and I'm still fine. You know, it's really, really cool. For film photography, you know, it is a bit large, I'll be honest with you. It's bigger than most lenses that I would put on an M mount, but on the SL2S, it pairs wonderfully. Still, I would just have this on a film camera and that would be it, you know? I wouldn't need a smaller 21mm. I would just have this and slap in some medium speed ISO film, and you know, an ISO 400 film, you can get away with that at daylight or nighttime with this lens, which is pretty damn cool. So film shooters, if you're looking for a really unique experience, this is definitely cool. And don't worry if you're afraid of, you know, losing your calibration if you go down too short, because there is that, you know, that typical notch that you have with once you break loose of that 0.7 minimum focusing distance of the rangefinder. All in all, I'm excited about this lens. It is definitely a low light beast. The bokeh is gorgeous. The experience is wonderful, and I am excited about it. And if you guys are excited about it too, I'm gonna drop some links in the description below. You guys can check them out. It'll help support this channel if you click on them, and if you use my code generic10 at checkout. That's all for me, guys. Very cool announcement from Thypoch. I'm very excited about it, and I'm excited to see what people do with this lens, because it's a complete unique experience, especially with that minimum focusing distance. Please don't forget to support this channel by liking and subscribing, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Ciao.